Welcome. We are live here at Kat's Home Chat, and we are so excited. And I still get so excited over this format that we're live. We're anything.
We are live.
We're anything.
I'm probably the most live person you're ever going to meet.
Okay, you're going to get your 2 minutes there. Let me properly introduce you, darling. Okay, today, if you're looking to buy a home now or in the future, or you know somebody, excuse me, you're going to want to tune into this episode. If you can't watch it now, you can watch it on the replay, and we will be on YouTube, Kat's YouTube channel, Ta-Da by Kat, for the replay. But my guest today, who I'm going to officially introduce in a minute, is going to share some secrets of what goes on behind the scenes that a lot of folks, if you're first-time home buyers, even if you just haven't bought for 7 or 8 years, which is the average, you don't remember, recall, or even know the current process for underwriting. And, we're going to power up today. My husband brought me my tea and my power up cup. We're going to power up today, whether you're a female or a male, and get you information so you know what's going on behind the scenes. And the process where, you're just like sitting there nervous Nelly, you will know what has to happen through the life of the loan from pre-qual to funding. And I say not just closing, but funding, because believe it or not, I've had 2 closings in my career that never funded. Not a good thing. Whole nother episode on that. So without further ado, please welcome Victor Varela with Lux Lending. He is a broker owner, young man, entrepreneur. And I love your picture there, entrepreneur working. Caution.
Yeah.
That's the truth. For all you entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, mompreneurs, all that. Yeah, it's caution. It can be pretty dangerous at times. So welcome, Victor. Thank you so much. Victor and I connected because we're very like-minded in terms of how we market our business. Right. And I hope to be on your podcast soon and share some nuggets on staging. Again, I am Kat, if I didn't mention it. Terrible at marketing sometimes, with Ta-Da Next Level Staging and Design, where we put the sold in your just listed.
There you go.
If you're in the Houston area, and even if you're across the country, across the world, I do offer virtual, we were just talking about this, virtual consultations for design and for staging to set you up to sell your property in record time and for 10 to 17% more.
Wow.
So, Victor.
Yes.
Back to you, darling. Tell us how you got into the lending business.
Well, that's a long story, but I'm going to make it.
Give me the clip notes. Yeah.
First off, let me just introduce I'm Victor Varela. I'm a mortgage broker and owner of DV Lux Financial Lending. We are located in downtown Houston, Texas. We're in a high-rise just off of St. Joseph's Parkway. We've been here for maybe about 1.5 years now. We started off on the north side, and we started doing really well and moved our operation down.
Perfect. And all of Victor's information is going to be posted on our YouTube channel. We'll sign off with a phone number where you can reach him right away if you have lending needs. And as we go into this episode, about 30 minutes, please, guys out there watching, post your questions. Jeff, my business partner, and Proctor will be fielding those questions, and we'd love to answer them for you real time. Okay, so if you have anything, no question, there's no stupid question, only the one you don't ask. So I want to put that out for you. So let's just go into, how did you, Victor, get into the lending business?
Well, okay, so I didn't start off doing lending when I got into real estate. Sure. Actually, I am a Houston firefighter, and I've been with the fire department for 16 years. And to make this story kind of short, because it is rather long, me and another guy were sitting around the fire station one day, and we were talking about, do we have any part-time jobs or anything? I was like, man, I ain't doing nothing, And this one guy was like, man, you know what? My friend's doing home inspections, and he's doing really well with that. We should think about start doing home inspections. I was like, home inspector? I said, man, I think my old captain is a home inspector. So we called him up and he was like, yeah, he was telling us about the business, this and that. And we both light bulb, man, we should do that. Right.
Okay.
We can do it on our days off. So we went to this quick orientation with Champion School of Real Estate. I ended up signing up right then and there, and he didn't. And anyways, I got my home inspector's license right away. Got into home inspections. My business really took off within like 2 or 3 months because of the way I marketed myself.
Uh-huh.
I got on social media right away, just starting adding friends, going out to networking events. And
so speed forward how you got into lending.
So I met a loan officer while I was going out to all these marketing events, and she told me about becoming a loan officer. And I was like, I could do that. I haven't really, I can do that type of attitude, you know?
Sure.
So I got my license and we were supposed to partner up afterwards. Well, that did not work out. So I ended up going to work for another mortgage company that's actually located like right down the street from where we are today. And that's where I started. But unfortunately, much like an agent, you don't know anything. Even when you get your license, it's just to pass the test. So
it's just a license, yeah.
It's crazy that you need to really partner up with a mortgage company who has a really good training platform, and they're adding really good value to you. But at the end of the day, it's all on you to really educate yourself.
Absolutely.
And so I just dove into the books. I dove into asking a ton of questions, always staying up reading late at night. That's how I got into it. And I didn't have a background in finance or anything like that, but I always have that self-education type of attitude. If
Absolutely.
I don't know, go out, I'm going to find that answer. And then, of course, one of the biggest things, and just as any entrepreneur, is aligning yourself with the best people. Yep. The people who are in your immediate circle. Yep. Oh my God, you're going to learn a lot from. And so I just started going out and I was like, man, you could really add a lot to me, into my business, into my value.
And what can you give to them? And that's, you know, that's what it's all about. You know, you elevate yourself by being around people who really are better than you, mm-hmm. and the opposite. So it's a constant exchange. So we're here today, and that's what our platform is about, is bringing valuable information to our audience. And if it's not, again, pertinent to you, please share it with someone who it is. You know, right. Many of you know, I have an award-winning staging company. I'm a master stager, color specialist, etc. That's my main business, but I do hold my license, and I do real estate by referral only. I'm actually helping one of my team members right now get into a brand new home. So it's you know, close to my you know, consciousness right now in terms of the process. Okay, now. This happens to be a new home, and there's a whole bunch of nuances in terms of new homes that is different and similar. And we did an episode last week with Angel Rupert about why you need a realtor when purchasing a new home. And I think a lot of folks found that very, very valuable. I will tell you, as having my license in 2 states for over 20 some years in real estate, that the lender you have, the lender that you network with, and you will want 2 or 3 possibly, because some will specialize in foreclosure, some will specialize in first-time home buyers. You know, there's very few that are Renaissance, but you want specialties. But they are the lifeblood of your business if you are a realtor, because you cannot buy a home unless you have a loan that is approved and closes and funds.
You got cash.
End of story. What's that?
You got cash buyers too, though. So.
Oh yes, you have cash buyers too. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So minus the cash buyers. Yeah, we just helped my mother-in-law who paid cash, so we did a lender there. But you know, the majority of folks, that's the lifeblood. You really want a trusted lending partner for that. Right. Mm-hmm. So one thing that kind of crossed my mind when we were coming up for the topic today is, my gal that we're helping, they're both first-time home buyers.
Right.
Okay. And you sometimes forget, not just in real estate, not just in lending, even staging and other businesses, when you've been doing it for a minute, okay, and you're like, boom, ba-doom, ba-doom, ba-doom. I had somebody on the phone the other day, they were using, actually it was a lender, using acronyms. An NRG and the BL. I worked in corporate America in IT. We had full sentences that were acronyms, okay?
Oh, sure.
But if you're trying to educate and you're someone, a first-time home buyer or even not a first-time home buyer, don't use acronyms. They don't know what they mean.
It's
if
true.
you think you're impressing them, you're not. What you're trying to do is communicate with them. So don't use acronyms.
So
but at any rate, let me just finish my thought. So what came to my mind is that we sometimes get on the fast road and not realize that a new first-time home buyer. I used to tell folks years ago when I worked for a builder and we were, writing 8 contracts a day or whatever.
Right.
They were all first-time home buyers. I would tell them, and I don't know who I borrowed this from. I can't take credit. I borrowed it from someone. I said, there are thousands of pieces to the puzzle in purchasing this home. Think of me as your puzzle master. Okay, I'm going to help you put every piece together. Trust the process.
Yeah.
Trust the process. So communication is key. If there's anything I've learned from corporate America, having my own businesses, it is that you must communicate. You cannot over communicate. So that being said, let's dive right into our topic. And that is, I'd love for you to share some things that that through your experience as a lender, what do you think could be valuable for folks to know that what's going on once they get the pre-qual? What's because everybody's just kind of sitting back thinking, especially if they don't hear anything, well, what are they doing now? And am I going to get the loan? And am I going to get qualified? I'm only pre-qualified. What are they doing? Why is it taking so long?
Right.
What can you share with that behind the scenes that might be, valuable to our listeners? Well,
at the end of the day, once you get your pre-qualification letter that allows you to go out and shop for a home, you find that home, you put the offer in, we get that executed contract, we submit all that stuff.
So let's back up, Victor. Let's take this like we're talking to kindergarten. Let's say I'm a kindergartner, which really a first-time home buyer is. Right. Okay, so a pre-qual, which actually now with COVID, the whole COVID stigma, it's now pre-approval, isn't it? That they're requiring, not pre-qual?
Right. Well, I do a 2-step process. I talk to you over the phone. I pre-qualify you over the phone.
Okay.
That's what I call a pre-qualification. Yes, you're right. A pre-approval letter is a letter that we give to you after we get a full application. We look at all of your documents, which are really just your ID, your last 4 pay stubs, 30 days worth of bank statements to verify funds that you have for your down payment and your closing costs. And then, of course, we verify that you've been working for the last 2 years via your use.
Yes. So, Crystal, if you're listening, that's the one thing. Working for Tada is once you've got 2 years, then that can be counted. Should at some time you guys decide to, take the loan a different direction or what have you. But just to verify for folks, again, assuming they know nothing, it used to be just a pre-qual letter. 1 page was enough to go out and put an offer in a home. And basically what that was, correct me if I'm wrong, Victor, is you just ran the credit, you saw what their score was, and basically their name and their social security.
Back then, they just used to tell the lender all the information without any verification.
Yes.
And so that was the cause of 2008 housing market crash. There was no income verification, there was no work history verification or anything like that. So they were going out, and providing all of these loans, for people who weren't really qualified to even repay the loan.
Absolutely. So, that's when I was working for the small builder. I would say, you got a pulse, you can buy a home.
Right. At the end of the day, the reason for all of that paperwork is the the bank just wants to know at the end of the day that you have the availability to repay this loan.
Exactly.
That's it. Is there a process? Of course there is. You know, the bank.
Let's talk about that. So you've got, you've given the pre-approval letter,
Right.
and they can now, the realtor can now go out, and shame on any realtor who goes and shows homes without having that, because you don't know what their ability to pay is,
right.
if they can qualify for 200 or 300 or 400. So you want to make sure you have that for new realtors. And so we put an offer on the home.
Yep.
And the offer is accepted.
Right.
Let's talk about a little bit, because this is what came up in my world with my one of my team members is, the builder typically has some pretty great incentives.
Yep.
And I come from the builder world. Many people know that. And so 9 times and maybe 8 times out of 10, that's going to be the better way to go if you don't have fun.
Sure.
Okay. In the case of our particular situation, they got a better rate with an outside lender.
Yep.
And so over the term of the loan, a much, a considerably lower basis point makes more sense if you're not cash poor. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, in any situation, you need to be shopping around anyways.
Exactly.
And one thing that that you really need to do is set all your loan estimates side by side and come to a determination which one's going to be the better deal for you. Even an eighth of a point means thousands of dollars over the life of the loan.
Over the life of the loan. Now, will most people live 30 years? No, but you figure they're going to live at least 10 or whatever. And that's usually, but they need to do a stare and compare. And that's what I had my clients doing, said, you need to have one sharpen their pencil over the other.
Right.
Even though I brought, the outside lender, I really wanted him to get the business, but it's not about what I want and nepotism or friendship. It's about what's best for my client.
Right. So there is a document online that's called the home loan toolkit, and you can easily just type that into Google and it'll pop up. It's a PDF form that the government puts out for home buyers, and it actually gives you a step-by-step process on what they would actually like for you to do. What they would actually like for you to do is that when you want to go out and you want to see if you're going to get approved for a loan,
right?
Do it with 3 or 4 banks on the same day, right? Oh. And the reason for that is because you want them to pull your credit all at the same time. You have 30 days to shop around, right? Before it actually affects your credit.
Right.
So if you do it all on the same day and it's getting all pulled at the same time, you're not going to take a huge credit hit, right?
Sure. But not to frighten folks. Even if you do it within the 30 days, it's not always, feasible to do it the same day. As long as you do it within that 30 days, you're not taking a hit.
Right. Yeah. But, the great thing is that if you have all of your paperwork, because that's what the bank wants. Each bank is going to want all the same paperwork.
Exactly.
They're going to want the same application.
Yep.
And they're going to run your credit.
Yep.
There's no negotiations about that. Yep. I've had some people that said, hey, I'm going to fill out your application. I'm going to send you all of my documents, but I don't want you to run my credit. And then I guess my next question is I guess you don't want to buy a home then.
Exactly.
I'm just being 100% straight up honest with you.
Exactly.
The bank is not going to give you a $200,000 loan on your word.
Yeah. So 30 days, that's the key. So let's talk about, and thanks for that information, home loan toolkit for folks who want to do a stare and compare, what makes it a little bit easier. So let's talk about, you've got that pre-qual, you've decided on the proper loan, you're in escrow.
Right.
What are some things, because my understanding, most lenders, then they package up that information, which now they're doing up on the front end already. You've got the digital, 401k and bank statements and right. work records and all of that. Then that goes packaged up digitally to the underwriter. So let's talk about what the underwriter does and what could be some possible snafus or hangups to make that loan not go through in underwriting?
Well, a ton of things. Obviously, they're going to verify the application. They're going to verify all of the documents that you sent us. Things to look for on your let's just say your pay stubs, right? They want to see a year to date on those. They want to make sure that these pay stubs are not, from 2018, right? So giving us fake pay stubs, they're going to verify all of that. They're going to call your company and verify employment. Right. So we've had people doctor up fake stuff and try to send it to us, and that's where all of the verification takes place. Some other stuff that kind of does a hiccup is child support. If you have back child support, they're not going to give you a loan. Just simple as that. They're not going to do it. They're going to want to see that you're at least on some type of payment plan, and that you've paid on that payment plan at least 3 times. There is no getting around certain things.
And it's funny that you say that about doctoring documents, because I noticed, they require now it has to be in color, like ID, different things has to be in color. It can't be a copy, a Xerox, whatever you call it, copy. I'm sure for those purposes. Let's talk about a little bit child support, Social Security, things like that. Because I think a lot of people are not aware when they're looking to see, well, do I make enough money? Maybe they're using the online, bank rate or something, trying to see what they qualify for as they're planning, their new home journey, first home or second home. Mm-hmm. A lot of people don't realize that any kind of money that you receive, child support or Social Security, is grossed up. Now, what does that mean, people? That means if you get $1,000 child support, it's grossed up to like $1,250, right? 25%.
I think it's per kid, and then after that, the percentage changes.
Well, no, the flat amount. Let's say you get $1,000 for 3 kids. Let's just do easy. Math. It's going to go up to 25% higher.
They're
going to gross it up. Why? Well, think about it. It's net. You get that in your bank, in your pocket. There's no taxes taken out, much different than gross, salary, where you're going to have to pay taxes.
Right. So at the end of the day, we take your gross monthly income.
Yep.
Right. We look at that to do our calculations, not your net. So we want all type of income that you get.
Yep.
Right. Everything.
Yep.
So if you have 2 jobs, give me paycheck stubs for those.
For both jobs. So let's talk about, I used to call it, the three-legged, it's a 3-legged stool when you're looking at qualifying. They're going to look at your income, your debt to income ratio.
Your debt to income ratio.
Your debts, because I've had folks come in that are self-employed. I had a young man, he owned a trucking company. He's like, oh yeah, I've made 6 figures, yada, yada, yada. Mm-hmm. And I had to tell him, this is when I was in new home sales for a company that we would build, just like frame stage up to full on. And he was like, oh, and he's like, yeah, I wrote everything off. I'm like, oh, I'm so sorry, dude.
Yeah.
You can't buy a home because people are going to look at your net. So if you are self-employed, be careful about that. If you're looking to qualify for a home, pay yourself a paycheck. If you can't get your accountant, even if you don't have an accountant, just do the books, write yourself a paycheck, because that's that's your income, and that's it's a write-offable income.
Right.
So it goes on your section C, but it will now put you in the game for having an income.
Yeah, right? A lot of people think, okay, I own my own business, right? I make $30,000 a month. I make all of this money, but I write off 90% of it. Dude, I'm sorry. And I get it, and they get so upset with me. But going back to, we have to follow the rules. We all have to follow the same rules.
Everybody's got to follow rules. But I think really people don't realize that, which is why I want to drive that home. If you know anybody who's looking to buy a home and they are in business for themselves, share this video with them because they can start now taking action and making that work for them. Because if you are bringing in that kind of money, you definitely can afford to be paying yourself a salary. Whatever.
Sure.
And what I'd do is I'd get with your accountant and figure out how much salary do you need to write yourself to afford for the house that you want. Back when I was a single mom back in Southern California of 3 children, I was on a base plus commission. I made, good money.
Right.
But, it was tough, especially I wasn't getting child support. And so I would get with my accountant and say, what's the most that I can claim on deductions to where they're taking very little out. And that's not cheating. Some people think, well, I have 3 kids, I can only deduct 3. Now, I'm not a tax accountant. Check with your tax accountant. But what I did with my tax accountant is he would say, typically, I claim 10. And what did that do? It put a few $100s more a month in my pocket for my operating expenses to take care of my children. And so, I mean, if you like that big check at the end of the year and you don't mind Uncle Sam hanging on to your money throughout the year, hey, just claim 1 or 2. But if you'd like to put that in your pocket, and I have shared this information, and again, default, talk to your CPA with new homeowners back in the day, because sometimes $100 a month is the difference between them putting gas in somebody else's SUV, renting, or purchasing their own home, but they're kind of scared of that $100 more. So, I actually would go into HR, depending on how much commission. If I had a big commission check, $10,000 commission check, I might say I'd bring it down so they'd take a little more out. But you have that right as an employee to change your deductions with HR anytime you want, right?
Oh, for sure. So back to owning your own business and all that other tax-related stuff, it's really, really, really beneficial to get with your accountant because, you might be set up as an LLC where you really need to be set up as an S Corp so that you're allowed those tax advantages, right?
Very, very good point. Yes.
All that stuff really does play into whether you're going to get pre-approved for a loan or not. We need good documentation anytime you're a business owner, right? So you're going to fall into a whole other type of loan program, which really primarily you'll probably go into what's called a bank statement loan. And that's a non-QM product or non-qualified mortgage product or non-conforming loan. We're going to need at least 24 months of bank statements in order to get you qualified along sometimes with the profit loss statement. And then of course, all the other documents, your ID and stuff like that, and proof of funds. So when I try to speak with these business owners, a lot of them don't understand why their interest rate is just a little bit higher than everybody else's. And I tell them, well, you're at more risk for not being able to repay this loan. They're like, well, what are you talking about? Businesses go out of business all the time. And again, I always going to say this. The bank wants to know that you have the availability to repay this loan. Yep. So, of course, you're going to be at a higher risk, which means you might have to put down a bigger down payment, right? So sometimes you may have to put down 20% because that's what the bank is requiring you to do.
Right.
Now, you can't shop around to all different types of banks, but more or less, I've only seen between 15 and 20%. And your interest rate is going to be just a tad higher than what the current market is.
They're all going to be the same. We're getting close to wrap up. Such good information, Victor, but I want to touch briefly before we wrap this up on your, another spoke of the three-legged table, and that is your debt. Because, a lot of folks don't understand. They'll go buy a home. I've seen it happen. Then they go out and put furniture on credit or buy another vehicle, and they've just blown themselves out of the debt to income ratio, which means, your debt has to be between 45 and 48% of your income. Mm-hmm. Once you do that, number one, your score can go lower, and it can really screw you up. I've seen people not be able to close because of that. Have you experienced that?
Oh, for sure. So going back to your initial steps in order to get approved, and that initial pre-qualification phone call that I have with you,
Right.
I'm always like, dude, if you got credit cards that are above 30%, pay those things down. Let's wait 30 days because typically it takes about 30 days for you to see a positive response to your credit report. So if you're teetering right there at about 600 and we need you to be at a minimum 640, that's a huge thing, especially when you have 3 or 4 credit cards that are out. Now, once we send everything to the underwriter and everything is going through the actual process of closing out on your loan, the last thing that you want to do is go out and just start buying stuff.
I know it's exciting. I know you want to, but call me. I have a warehouse full of stuff. If you need furniture,
don't let anybody run your credit. Don't loan sign for anybody. Look, be selfish. It's all about you and you getting into a home.
And your dream. And, this is what I love about the business, is really helping people realize the American dream. And with us, with staging, is helping them into the next step of the next journey of their new home ownership, or even, beautifying their new space. Many of us more than ever now, are spending more time in our home, and it is our sanctuary, and it's a beautiful thing to be able to own a home. We're going to wrap up here. Victor, I thank you so much. You have been just such a pleasure and given so much information. Please, guys, I haven't seen questions, but I can't see from my end. I think there are comments. If we didn't get to them, Victor, we can go back and answer those on Facebook. This will be published to our YouTube channel, Ta-Da by Kat.
Right.
If you could post that URL, Jeff. I don't know why it has a C in it, but it's YouTube/C for channel /Ta-Da by Kat. Please subscribe and hit the bell. You'll be notified when new things are uploaded. And we've got some exciting new things that will be uploaded. We're going out to install a restaurant, some decor in a new refurbished restaurant in Katy as soon as I leave from here. So I'm super excited about that, to take some footage on that. But if you'd like information from Victor until it gets posted on YouTube, you can reach Victor at
281-630-1778, or of course you can always email me at admin@lux-lending.com.
And Victor can talk to you about whether you're in the Houston area. They're even expanding to all of Texas. So that's exciting news. As I was telling him, I purchased my first home in Southern California. The guy was in Orange County. I was in the Inland Empire. I never met the guy. He did a great job. Everything's virtual today. But I'm so glad that y'all could connect with us today. Reach out to Victor if you have questions. Share this, please, so we can continue to have great content. Let us know. I love it. Lux Financial Lending. I need one of those. If I go on your show, am I getting one of those?
Oh, yeah. I got 2 over here. We'll drink it up.
So reach out to Victor. Connect with us. And what else I want to tell you. We're looking to have some interesting guests coming up. Well, they're all interesting. But we're going to have a behavioral specialist. And you may think, well, what does that have to do with your platform? You know what? We're all human beings, whether we're buying, selling, decorating, dwelling, etc. And we're going to be presenting some topics on how you can be a better you, whoever you are, in whatever phase of the new home journey that you're on.
I may need to sit in on this one.
Please. And then also a feng shui specialist. I'm looking. If you know of anyone who's a feng shui specialist, I haven't nailed down that guest yet, but that's what I'm channeling in my manifestation, because that's very important in our lives, whether we're selling, dwelling, decorating, etc. So until next week, thank you so much for joining us. I would just challenge you for just today, be positive. For just today, be hopeful.
Yes.
And for just today, connect. And I thank you for connecting with us, with me, with Victor, and we'll connect with you next time. Make it a fabulous weekend, and we'll talk to you then. Bye.
Bye, guys.